Hi, my name's Andy. Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm here in New Zealand and we're heading into winter, so I'm not really able to get out there and do as much riding as I want to. It's really rainy at the moment. I'm out over here on the east coast and we experience quite a lot of rainfall over winter. So I'm going to be putting together a few videos where I just show my kit. I show some of the stuff that I have been traveling with to help you guys put together your gear for your cycle tour. Now today I thought I'd show backpacks, since a lot has changed since my first tour. On my first tour, when I went to Europe, I took quite a large backpack. Now I thought I needed to take all this stuff, and I think I really hedged my bets by taking a big pack. It meant that I wasn't going to be without anything that I might need. But what did happen was that I ended up carrying a lot of stuff that I didn't need, which kind of does happen if you take a bigger pack. So this is the pack that I took the first time I traveled in Europe, and I've taken this pack all around the world with me before I started riding on bikes, and it's probably about 10 years old. And it's still going strong. Now the reason I've got all the brightly coloured stuff on here is because this is the pack that I take when I go out into the forest in New Zealand, and there's a lot of hunting and stuff goes on in New Zealand, so it's a good thing to be seen and be visible in the bush rather than just being some dark shape moving through the bush. So I do put this, what we call blaze, on there. This is a 35 litre pack. And it's a pretty comfortable bag, but it is pretty heavy, even when it is empty. The cool thing about this pack is it has two pockets. It's got a large pocket here, and then it's got this smaller pocket in the front that also has other pockets in it. That's pretty useful. And then you can also access like this lower part of the pack, like lower bottom bit of the pack, and that's really useful if you get caught in the rain. You can always keep your raincoat in that lower part of the pack, so if you do get caught in the rain, you don't have to pull everything out of your pack to find the raincoat. That's really useful. Also, sometimes I do put my sleeping bag in that bottom bit of the pack, because then if it does rain, it's the last thing to get wet. So that's the pack that I took when I travelled on my first cycle tours in Europe and in Japan. And of course, it being quite a big bag, it did get stuffed full of gear. It was pretty comfortable to wear on your back, but when you're riding on a bike, you're often not riding with the backpack on your back, because then you're going to have too much weight, on yourself and on the seat, and it can be quite uncomfortable. So what I did on my first tour is I strapped this pack to the front of the bike. That made the front of the bike very heavy. It made the steering very heavy, but it did work. So that's a 35 litre pack, this one. And I'm not sponsored in any way, so don't pay attention to the brand. I'm sure that you'll be able to find something like this, and you'll be able to find something that's good quality. A few tips that I'll give you for buying a pack is make sure that it has good quality zips. So you want to make sure that they are really good quality, because if the zip fails you, the whole pack is done for. You don't want to be riding along or walking along with the pack open. So yeah, good quality zips. And one way to tell if they're good quality is you can see the maker's mark here on that one, YKK. So YKK zips, they are probably the most famous zipper brand in the world. I believe they're made in Japan, and they're extremely good quality. So if you see the YKK on the zip, you'll know that it's a good quality pack. When I went on my last tour in Europe, I decided I was going to cut down to gear that is more lightweight, because you can always buy things on the road And generally the things that you want to have in your pack are just the essentials and your valuable stuff. So I decided I would go with a smaller pack, and the one I chose was this one. Now I think it's about 18 litres, and it's just got one pocket, one big pocket here, and then it's got one pocket in the front, which is perfect because it means that you can store stuff like clothes, other bulk stuff in the big pocket, and then the smaller stuff that you might need to have on hand, like maybe a first aid kit, a battery charger for your phone, a wallet, stuff that you're going to need to grab out when you need it and not go fishing around in the big pocket. You put it in the small pocket. Now, that's the way I used it, and yeah, it's really good. And again, it's a comfortable backpack, it's a good quality backpack, and when traveling with this pack, I don't have it on my back. For the most part, I will just sling it over the handlebars of the bike, as you've probably seen me do if you've seen my other videos, or I will strap it to the back of the bike. That way I'm not carrying a lot of weight on my back, but something like that, this size, means you're not tempted to carry too much stuff. And yeah, this pack is a lot better than the big pack for what I use it for. Now, I do travel a long way, or I have traveled a long way across the world to do some of these rides, and even though it's very small, like this is the majority of my personal luggage. So traveling from New Zealand to Europe, for instance, like this will be my bag. This is the pack that I take. It was the big one previously, but you know, now I have this, and I don't really feel like I have cut down, or I'm cutting down that much. It's taking a smaller pack it really puts things into perspective, what you really need to carry and what is valuable to you. You can always add more stuff to your journey by taking a fabric shopping bag and putting in stuff in your fabric shopping bag and then strapping it onto the bike, or carrying the fabric shopping bag with you. That's a good way that I like to do it. And what it means is, yeah, you're just not carrying around like a huge backpack, because when you're carrying around a huge backpack and you're traveling, you tend to stand out a bit more. When you're carrying the small backpack, you just look like a local person, just, you know, off to wherever you're going, and people they're not really identifying you as a tourist, which is also a big plus for the small pack. So there's a few other staple things that I carry along with the pack, and I'm just going to show you a few of those today. So one of them is a flashlight or a torch. Now, when I went on my first trip with the big bag, this was the headlamp that I carried. It's a black diamond. I'm not sure of the model, but this was bought about 10 years ago, and it's a little LED head torch that takes AAA batteries. It still works, but nowadays you can get much better quality, more high-tech, high-performance gear for the same price. I think this cost me about $30 10 years ago, and I keep it as like a second flashlight, and I just keep it with this bag. The headlamp that I've upgraded to is again the black diamond. Like, after all, I had that other one for a decade and it never let me down, so I just upgraded to this one, which is the black diamond Storm. Again, it takes 3 AAA batteries. The design of this one's a little different. You know, it's like they've come a long way with this. Oh yeah, this actually takes 4 AAA batteries in there. It's all built into this sturdy case, this plastic case with the rubber on the outside. So I guess so if you drop it, it's shock resistant in a way. And then you've got like a bunch of different LEDs in there. And it's got like 5 modes or something. You have green lights and red lights and all the rest, and a spotlight and more of a floodlight. So this one, I'm pretty sure I paid like $60 or $80 for it, and this was the head torch that I took with me on my last tour. Really good quality. I'd really recommend it. Another thing that I take with me that's like a staple thing is a knife. So this is a Victorinox plastic handled serrated knife with a rounded tip on it. Now the rounded tip is super important. It's a good quality knife. Because it's serrated, it's always sharp, and because the tip is round, it means that it won't poke a hole in your bag or any of your gear when you're carrying it with you. Yeah, that's the kind of knife I like to take. It's very useful for making sandwiches, preparing food and things like this. Another thing that I take with me is a power bank. So again, this is like, it's pretty useful stuff, and you can charge your phone, other devices with it. It charges up from a USB-C, and this one's got 3 USB outputs, but I only ever use one at a time just to charge the phone. But a power bank like this, I think it's 20,000 milliamp hours, 26800 milliamp hours, so nearly 30,000 milliamp hours, and this will charge my phone about 5 times. So a few other little bits of kit that I take with me on a cycle tour and that is extremely useful is just stuff to look after the bike. Of course, the tools. The first one I take is this adjustable crescent, so you can do any of the wheel nuts with that. Adjust bolts and remove and replace bolts with the crescent. It doesn't weigh much. And then for everything else, I take this cycle toolkit, which has all the Allen keys. Again, to replace and remove bolts. And then there's screwdrivers there for all the different screws and things you have on the bicycle. So with those 2 tools, you can do just about anything to the bike, with the exception of pulling the crank and stuff you need specialist tools for. These are the ones that you're going to need with you at all times if you want to make running repairs on your bike on the roadside. The other thing to take is a bike pump. This one is nice and compact. It is, I believe the brand is Specialized. It's all worn away though. This is pretty old, but it still works really, really well. And because of its size, it's really, really easy to carry with you, and I just throw it in my backpack with the rest of the tools. Doesn't take up much space. But yeah, really recommend one of these. That way you can fix any flat tires that you have on the road, and keep your tires pumped up, keep you rolling along. Alright, the last thing I'll show you is this bike lock. Now this is a real nice heavy duty bike lock that I purchased in Amsterdam a few years back. It's got like super hard, like tough chain on it. Now I'm sure that if anyone wanted to, they could cut through that maybe with the bolt cutters or an angle grinder or something, but like, come on, this is tough enough that it's going to stop your average bike thief from breaking it open. And since I still have it after all these years, obviously it works well. It's got this nylon cover on it. I guess that's supposed to stop like bolt cutters getting through it easily. And then it just has a key lock. Really, really good. and I'd recommend taking the best bike lock that you can afford if you rely on your bike for transport, because the worst thing would be if you went into a shop or something and you come out and your bike is gone, then you're high and dry. If you want to see any more videos on the gear that I carry, have a look over here. This video right here is the gear that I carried for a 4-month cycle tour through Europe. Thanks a lot for watching. My name's Andy, and I'll see you in the next one.